for stopping by this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. Who's in? Who is out? On this edition of the program, we will examine 4 players who you might think are going to be cut candidates when the 53-man roster rolls around, but reverse course here. We are going to tell you why these 4 individuals have a chance to actually make the Seahawks 53-man roster when it's all said and done. We'll tell you who those individuals are and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do that, folks, this month here at Chat Sports, at Seahawks Today, the most subscribers we've gained on a single video is 41. I want to break that record today. I want as many new people to be a part of the family here on Seahawks Today as we possibly can. If you want daily Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else, you got to subscribe now. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Let's get 50 subs off today's show. You're going to get your daily news and rumors, live shows twice a week, Madden Sims for every Seahawks game. We're going to be live for every game throughout the season as well. We are your Seahawks headquarters. Subscribe now for free. Join the family. We need you. You'll be glad you did. Let's start with the undrafted rookie tight end out of the University of Washington, Jack Westover. And I got to tell you, the more I read about Westover, I find him fascinating. This is quite an intriguing prospect that the Seattle Seahawks found. And I think there's a couple of good reasons of why he could ultimately end up making this Seahawks team. For one, outside of Noah Fant, without question, and this isn't even close, folks, he is the best receiving tight end the Seahawks have. He is, without a doubt, the best pass catcher. And the Seahawks are going to need at least one more pass-catching tight end on this roster besides Noah Fant. So he's got that going for him. That's a big plus. But then you talk about the fact that he played at Washington under offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb and offensive line coach Scott Huff. They know him as well as anybody. He is set to come in right away and have an instant impact on this offense. He already knows the playbook and everything, folks. He is a natural fit. And think about this. If you're a college football fan, you know awfully well how good that Washington Husky team was in 2023, winning the Pac-12 Conference, RIP, and getting to the College Football Playoff National Championship, the weapons they had with Michael Penix Jr. and Rome Odunze and Dylan Johnson and company. And this guy at the tight end spot, even with all that talent Washington had, was still the team's 3rd leading receiver. I know that might not sound like much, but believe me, that is significant when you look at how high-powered that offense was for the Huskies last year. Honorable mention, Pac-12 selection. His statistics, solid. The last 2 seasons with Washington, you can see last year had 46 catches, 433 yards, 9.4 yards a reception, and 4 touchdowns. And then the Seahawks are also looking for a red zone tight end threat potentially as well. Noah Fant was not asked to do that role previously with the Seahawks. Jack Westover could be the guy the Seahawks are looking for potentially to be that red zone threat. So watch out for Jack Westover. I think he's going to end up making this 53-man roster when it's all said and done. Do you guys agree with me? Will Jack Westover make the Seahawks 53-man roster? Why for yes and for no? Way in the comment section, tell us what you think. Next on our list is linebacker Drake Thomas. Drake Thomas was a late addition to the Seahawks roster last season as he spent the preseason with the Las Vegas Raiders. And he was very good with Las Vegas in the preseason last year. I remember talking to our own Mitchell Renz, the host of the Raiders Report, our Raiders channel here at Chat Sports, and when Drake Thomas got released and he ended up in Seattle, I remember talking to Mitch and Mitch being surprised because the Raiders had liked what they saw from Drake Thomas. And sure enough, he ends up in Seattle. Didn't get a ton of playing time last year, but he showed enough flashes with the Raiders that I think everybody's got their eyes peeled, eyebrows raised, if you will, on what Drake Thomas could potentially be. And it's no secret the Seahawks are shorthanded at the linebacker position at this point in time. When you talk about what's going on with the injuries to Dodson and Baker, there's a real open competition, and there's a chance for Drake Thomas to compete and get some significant playing time. With the backup linebackers there, with Knight and Radigan and others, watch out. Drake Thomas could potentially be that guy. Comes from a good pedigree, NFL family. Brother's a receiver, Thayer Thomas. The statistics, you can see he didn't play a ton last year, but don't sleep on Drake Thomas as a possibility to make that Seahawks 53-man roster. Who's a player the Seahawks should cut, that they should move on from? Don't be shy, folks. Who is somebody that you want to see not make the 53-man roster that gets cut down? Weigh in and let us know in the comments section below. Byron Murphy jerseys on sale now. Chatsports.com/Murphy is where you can get these. Add a 9 to that one. We have the home jersey, the road jersey, the alternate throwback uniform as well. Men's and women's options available. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Murphy. We also have other Seahawks gear for you as well. So check all of that out at chatsports.com/Murphy. Free shipping on these jerseys available. Chatsports.com/Murphy. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Next up, we turn our attention to another UDFA. That is running back George Holani out of Boise State University. He was in the Pacific Northwest there playing with the Broncos the last few seasons. Now looking to stay in the Pacific Northwest with the Seattle Seahawks. And when I look at what the Seahawks are going to do with the 53-man roster, I fully anticipate that Seattle's going to carry 4 running backs on the roster when the season begins, because you can't have too many of these running backs. And Seattle Seahawks fans know more than anybody just how fragile this position has been with bad luck over the years. We saw last year you couldn't get out of training camp without injuries to Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh, and company. They were depending on DJ Dallas more than they wanted to last year. I think that just the fact that they're going to likely hold 4 running backs gives a good chance for Holani, and not to mention his pass-catching ability as well. You all know that the expectation of what Ryan Grubbs wants out of his running backs is guys that can catch the football. Holani can do just that. A 2-time second-team All-Mountain West Conference selection. He was 5th in Boise State's history in career rushing yards with 3,596, and was very good as a pass catcher out of the backfield as well, making a difference in the passing game on that front. Watch out for George Holani as a possible option. Here's the numbers for you. You can see solid throughout his tenure with the Broncos on the Smurf turf, with close to 750 yards last year, 7 touchdowns. The year prior, nearly 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, and 569 yards and 1 touchdown in 2021. Let's ask you, should the Seahawks keep George Holani? Type K for keep, type C for cut. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Last one on our list. This one comes very near and dear to my little Kansas Jayhawk heart, as we point our attention to Mike Novitsky. And as you could have probably guessed, his nickname is Dirk. Makes sense, right? I watched a lot of Mike Novitsky at the University of Kansas over the years, and this guy is just a big hog molly. I don't know how else to describe it. He was just so reliable and dependable for the Kansas Jayhawks over the last 2 seasons, and I know the Seahawks signed Nick Harris, the backup center from the Cleveland Browns, who also has experience playing the fullback position, but he's had some injury concerns over his career. Mike Novitsky, folks, fell under the cracks, under the radar, and I think there's a decent chance that if he is given a fair opportunity, a realistic shot, he could potentially beat out Nick Harris and earn the backup center position in Seattle. I think he's that good for this Seahawks team. He was an all Big 12 selection in 2022, an honorable mention Big 12 selection in 2023. His numbers last year, I expected a little bit more out of him. He had a bit of a down year compared to his junior season, with his overall grade at 61.1, a pass block grade of 57.3, and a run block grade of 60.7. But I think he still has a lot to offer potentially for the Seahawks. Don't sleep on Dirk, Mike Novitsky. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for continuing Seahawks coverage all offseason long. We got you covered. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.